I'm Kira, welcome to my channel. It's been a while since I filmed a reading vlog, so if this is a little rough, forgive me. Getting back into it and getting used to it again. I really want to work on this channel this year, so I'm getting started right away. I've already posted 3 videos this year, so that's a good start, I think. That's also what happened last year, and I just completely fell off of it halfway through the year, so we're actually going to try and do the whole year of posting videos this time. We're going to start out kind of, I think, the same way we did last year. In today's video, I'm going to be continuing book series that I'm in the middle of, which I think I did the first part of this video at the very beginning of last year. So this is now part 2, and I'm hoping to do a lot more parts throughout this year to kind of get a lot of series finished this year. So for this video, I will be reading these 3 books. We will go over them in a second, and I will actually be technically finishing a series, which I'll explain in a minute when we get to the book. Along with finishing series this year and like continuing ones I've already started before starting new ones, I also want to get through my physical TBR as well as the 25 books I want to read in 2025 list that I made for myself. And 2 of these books fit both my physical TBR from last year, and they're both on my 25 books to read in 2025 list. The other one is on my physical TBR, but I purchased it this year, so it's technically like 2025 physical TBR and not last year's. So we're gonna go with that one first because it's also going to be the first book I start. I've actually already started. We have Reckless by Lauren Roberts. This is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. Before this is Powerless, and then there's a novella short story called Powerful. I've read both of them last month in January, and I just started this one last night, so it hasn't been too long since I read the other ones, where usually it takes me like a year to finish the next book in a series after starting it. But I'm doing good on this one because I'm reading this one now, and then the next book I think comes out next month, and I will hopefully read that pretty soon after it releases. So I've already started this book last night a little bit, so we're gonna go over this in more detail in a minute, and I'll give you kind of like a breakdown of what Powerless is about. So that is the second book in a series. Next we have the third book in the series, and that is Garnet Flats by Devney Perry, which is the third book in the Eden series. I read both Indigo Ridge and Juniper Hill pretty much back to back, I think in 2023. So it's been quite a while since I've read those books. And this is on my 25 books to finish in 2025 list. So I need to get this read soon. And it's a very quick read. It's just over 300 pages or so. And it's a romance, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, I believe. So all those together, I think I can finish it fairly quickly within like 2-3 days maybe. We will go over what each of these books in the series are about specifically once I start reading them. I just don't want to overcrowd this intro. And then the third book I'm going to read for this video is the 4th and technically final book of a series, Winter by Marissa Meyer, the 4th book of the Lunar Chronicles. And I'm saying technically finishing because it is the 4th and final book of the main series, but there's 2 short story collection books after it. So this is like a technical finish because I still do have 2 short story books, but this will finish off the main storyline. I'm very excited to read this one. I read Scarlet in the last video of continuing book series I'm in the middle of, and then I read Crest in a mood reading vlog also last year. It's not that I haven't been wanting to read this, because I have, and I really wanted to finish the series and know what happens, because this one all the characters are going to be together, but I've been avoiding it because it's 800 pages. It might not look like it, but it is the thinnest pages in existence, and it is so heavy. It's very dense. Like, it looks maybe 500 pages, but it is 800 pages in here. But it is on Kindle Unlimited. I have it saved in my Kindle Unlimited library, so I'm going to use that to help me. All of these books I have in ebook format. This and Garnet Flats on Kindle Unlimited, and then I have the library copy for Reckless. We're going to set these 2 aside for now, and we're going to talk about Reckless and Powerless. The Powerless series is about our main character, Peyton, and she is what is called an ordinary in this world of, what are the other people called? Are they called elites? Anyway, she's an ordinary, which is very rare, and if like the royals find out you're an ordinary, the king is going to send the enforcer to kill you. So she's been hiding that she's an ordinary, and she was trained by her father from a very young age to act as a psychic. Everyone else who's not an ordinary has powers. From my understanding, there's either never been a psychic or they just know very little about them, so she's been able to make her way through life pretending to be a psychic, and she like actually has the ability to read people, so it's kind of a lie, kind of not. and they haven't figured out who she is yet. And then there's these trials where a certain group of people, teenagers I think it's all teenagers. It's very Hunger Gamesy. It's different enough in my mind to where I still was able to enjoy Powerless. I gave it 4 stars. I've also heard that it's very similar to Red Queen, but I haven't read that, so I couldn't say anything, and I think that might also be why, another reason why I've enjoyed it more than some other people have that have said it's like a direct copy of Red Queen and Hunger Games together. I don't know, I did enjoy reading it though. So basically these trials are held by the king, the royal court or something. I don't remember the exact logistics. And Peyton is part of that group. It's not like the Hunger Games where it's like everyone but one person is going to die before the last person left is crowned the winner. It's kind of like if you survive, you survive, and if you die, you die. We don't care. Like, fend for yourself. So that's kind of what the first book is. And then there is a romance, so it's romantasy. And then the powerful novella after that follows Peyton's best friend Adina, and it's her point of view from when Peyton is like at the trials. And then Reckless starts off 3 days after the end of Powerless, I think is what this said. I'm not going to give too much of a description of what's happening because I don't want to give anything away. I read 3 chapters last night. Yeah, I read 3 chapters, 26 pages before I fell asleep last night on my Kindle. I'm going to try and read some in the physical book, but I feel like I'm just going to read most of it on Kindle. I read all of Powerless on Kindle, even though I had the hard copy of it. I'm going to go continue this later today, and I'll meet you back here whenever I have an update for you. I'm hoping to get this read fairly quickly. This is a little under 400 pages, which I think is shorter than Powerless. Powerless felt so long when I was reading it, though. I think that's kind of why I didn't give it higher than 4 stars. It dragged on a little bit, and I felt like I was reading like a completely different book by the end of it. I was like, have I really been reading this book for this long? And now that things have already been established, like I'm not getting used to the world, hopefully I'll get into this one quicker. I don't know. I haven't heard the best reviews about this continuation of the series, so a little nervous, but excited to see where it goes. And I'm excited I'm actually getting this read so that I can read Fearless along with everyone else when it comes out and not feel left out and behind again like I was with Powerless. Hoping to finish this 3-4 days maybe. This is definitely not going to be just a week vlog because of this. This is going to take me a week alone at least. I'm hoping these 2 I can get done in a week, and then this one will be another week unless I surprise myself and somehow finish this quicker. Let's get into this. It's been a few days, 2 I think maybe, but I'm now 50% exactly into Reckless, which is chapter 27, page 195. I'm not enjoying it. It's not making me want to like stop reading it and fully DNF it, but I'm having like the same feelings as I did when I was reading the last 3 Shatter Me books, where I was like, the same thing is just happening over and over again, and I'm kind of bored while I'm reading it. I feel like nothing of importance has happened really, and it feels very dragged out. We're just filling space to get to something big. So, and the romance is not romancing as much as it was in the first book, which is what I liked the most about the first book. So not having that much romance right now in this book is not that fun. I don't know, it just feels very filler book. And it's a very different vibe from the first book, because this one we don't have any of the trials. It's the aftermath of what happened to our main character Peyton after something she did at the very end of Powerless and the consequences of that. I feel like the last couple chapters I just read, we're going somewhere, like we're getting to a bigger plot point of the story. I just don't know how to explain how I feel. I feel the same about this as I felt reading the second half of the Shadow Me series, the last 3 books, as well as watching the Maze Runner Scorch Trials movie. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just the same feeling. Like I know that feeling is like, ugh, kind of feeling. Like I'm enjoying reading it while I'm reading it, but I just know I'm not going to give it a high rating, and I know I'm just reading it because I have hopes that the 3rd book will be better and that we're leading up to something big. We are getting a 3rd point of view, which I think we got a couple chapters in this point of view in the previous book. I don't know if this is really a spoiler, so I'm sorry if it is, but we are getting more chapters in this book from Kit's point of view, who is Kai's brother, and I know we got at least a couple in the last book, but I feel like we're getting more in this book, so I feel like he's going to have something to do with the main plot point of the story at the end, leading into the next one, so we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated. Don't mind how I look, I just finished walking on the treadmill, but while I was walking, I was reading Reckless, thought of a theory, so I just wanted to get on camera before I forgot, just so I have video evidence later on to see if I was right or not. I'll bleep it out, whether it's right or wrong, just so it's not spoiling anything. That's my theory. We'll see if it's right. I wish I got my reaction to what I just read. What? About to read the last chapter and then the epilogue, so we're gonna get my reaction in case something happens. Just now. I don't know how much battery my camera has left, so I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. Also, not the bunny army behind me. Last night I finished reading Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I'm giving it 3.25 stars because 3 stars feels too low, but 3.5 feels too high for my enjoyment of the book. I think it was a good continuation, but it definitely is a filler that we needed to get from the end of the first book to now what's going to happen in the 3rd book, which I did not see coming at all. As you probably could see from my reaction last night to the last chapter, that was kind of crazy. I did enjoy that part. That really threw me for a loop, so I'm excited to see where the next book goes. Things I didn't particularly like. We didn't have as many characters in this book, which I typically really like in fantasy. I like a bunch of different characters to like bounce off of each other and just like fill the space, I guess. I don't know. And I like different character interactions, but most of this book is just our 2 main love interests, and their relationship in this book is very back and forth with each other, which I started to find annoying at some point, so I didn't love that part of it. At no point did I like want to stop reading. Like I was excited to pick it back up every night when I went to go read. I'm just not like obsessed with it. So 3.25 stars. So that's the first book done. We're now caught up with that series as of right now. And then last night I did read 2 chapters of Garnet Flats by Devney Perry. This is the 3rd book in the Eden series. The series follows the Eden siblings. I think there's 5. There's 6 books, but I think there's only 5 siblings. I don't know. I don't remember. I read the first 2 books 2 years ago, I think. So jumping back in a lot later. This one's about Talia, Eden, and Foster, and is a second chance romance, which is one of my least favorite romance tropes. I do not actively seek out second chance romance books. Whenever I find out a book is second chance, I'm really excited to read. I'm like, well, that kind of puts a damper on it. And this one, they were in a relationship and then they broke up, and then he immediately married either his best friend or her best friend. I don't remember. Marry her best friend. And now he's just randomly shows up at her door divorced and is asking for her help. I've not heard great things about this book. I feel like this is like the overall least favorite of the whole series from what I've heard. I remember when this book came out and everyone was talking about it and saying how disappointed they were. So I don't have high hopes for it, but I do need to read this to continue in the series because I'm someone who has to read even interconnected standalones in order. And it's a physical copy that's on my shelf. Currently on chapter 3. I'll keep you updated. Not much to tell so far. Otherwise, besides the fact that it's second chance, so I know I'm not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be a 5-star, I can tell you that right now. From what I've already read in the premise of the book. We'll see what happens. This man is pissing me off so bad right now. I just finished chapter 4. Foster has not left Talia alone after multiple times she has said she does not want to speak to him. And like, it's fine. Like, if he really wants to talk to her, it's fine. But it's the way he's going about it that is frustrating me and annoying me. To me, it feels like he thinks he has the right to make her listen to him and explain why he hurt her. Like, why he broke her heart 7 years ago. Like, he thinks he has the right to do that. He doesn't. If she wants to hear him out, fine. But if she doesn't, leave her alone. And just this last chapter, chapter 4, he ambushed her at her place of work. And he was like, just listen to me and let me explain what happened. And after that, if you still don't want me here, then I'll leave. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll talk to you. And then in his inner monologue, he's like, I wasn't planning to move again because like he just moved back to Montana for her. Even though they're not together. He just got divorced. And he's like, moving again wasn't the plan, but I'd figure it out. After tonight, when they're gonna talk, if I truly felt like we were over and there was no chance, I'd walk away. After he told her that he would leave if she told him to just go after explaining it. And now he's saying, yeah, no, I'll make that decision. That's what I'm taking this as. And if that's what's going to happen, I might have to DNF it. Because I cannot stand this man right now. Anyways, I'm going to get back to reading. So, I'll keep you updated on how I'm feeling about this. But right now, it's not good. It's not looking any higher than 3 stars at this current moment. And that is generous. I hate reading at this point. On page 72, I hate reading from here on out. No. There's no way. There's no way I just read this. After reading this chapter, I am done for the night, but I have to share the sentence with you. Page 103. He still has not explained himself of what happened. Like, something happened between them in the last chapter. They didn't talk before. They haven't talked after. This is their first conversation after. And in Foster's inner monologue, he says, a baby with Talia wouldn't have been an unwelcome surprise. I'm sorry. What? I'm going to keep reading because I'm entertained, but I am hate reading right now. Like, this book is getting 1 star no matter what. Like, I can't. Especially after that sentence, I can't. I want to keep reading in case something happens with the next couple in the book, because I know Jasper is the next, and he is Foster's best friend, or like trainer or something. So he's in this book a bit, so I want to keep reading for him in case something important happens for the next book. But as far as Talia and Foster, I'm done with them. They're getting 1 star. I would DNF right now if it wasn't for the fact that this is part of an interconnected series, and the couple from the next book are being like kind of introduced into this one, you know? But if they weren't, I would DNF this book right now. So last night I finished reading Red Lads by Daphne Perry. I think I mentioned this before, but like after something that Foster said, I was like, this book is immediately 1 star. There's no way it's coming up from this point, and that stayed true. This book was like a train wreck I could not look away from. Like, I would have DNF'd it like 100 pages in, but I was like, I'm kind of entertained, so I'm going to keep going. And I also want to see like what happens with Jasper, because he is Foster's trainer in this, and his book is next. If this was not part of a series, if just complete standalone, none of the other characters mentioned in this book has their own book, I would have DNF'd this immediately probably. But I kept going. It just kept getting worse. If you like this book, good for you. That's great. I could not get past things that were said and done by Foster within the first 100 pages. And even after that, the rest of the book, he did more things. I was like, no thank you. Don't like that. I enjoy Daphne Perry's writing. Like, the writing part was enjoyable. Just the characters and the plot of this was terrible to me. I don't know if it's just because I don't like second chance romance books, so I went in knowing I probably wasn't going to enjoy it. And I also had things in my head of people saying like, this is the worst book of the series. Like, I was so disappointed when I read this and it did not meet my expectations. So those two things combined probably didn't help either, but I feel like even if I had never heard about this book before, I had only read the first 2 books, and I was reading this along with everyone else like when it first came out, and I had no clue what it was about, anyone's interpretation of it or whatever, I still would have hated it. That's just how I feel. This is a 1 star book for me. Not the worst I've read this year so far though. Actually, maybe tied for the worst. I am very excited for Jasper's book because we did get a little hint of how it starts at the end of this, and it's a trope I like. characters I've liked so far within the series, with the Eden sibling it is, and then Jasper. I like Jasper in this book. So I have higher hopes for the rest of the series, or at least the next book. This one just didn't do it for me. And we're now going to start, hopefully, I know this is going to be a higher rated book, but hopefully like a 5-star read maybe, and that is Winter by Marissa Meyer. Can we just have a moment of appreciation for this cover? This is genuinely like my favorite book cover I've ever seen. This is book 4 in the Lunar Chronicles series. I'm going to do my best to explain the series to you. It's been a while since I've read not only the first book, but any book in the series. It's been pretty much a year since I read the last book in the series. So I'm going to do my best to explain the plot of this series to you. The Lunar Chronicles is 4 books in the main series, and then there's 2 novellas, short story books, collection things, and they are all fairy tale retellings. So the first one is a Cinderella retelling. So we have Cinder, who is Cinderella, and she is a cyborg. And I think it's like cyborgs are not seen as equals, or like they don't like them and they're trying to like get rid of the cyborg population. Something around those lines, I think. Her stepmother makes her like go out and run like the family shop, but then one day she meets Prince Kai, who is Prince Charming basically. He has no idea who she is, but he invites her to the ball at the palace. Cinderella retelling stuff. But there's also this virus disease thing going around and trying to find the cure or like the cause of it, I think. And then there's a villain who's trying, I think I'm all over the place with this. I will just pop a picture of the summary for the first book on the screen. It's difficult to explain. It is dystopian sci-fi. I think it's technically more sci-fi, but could also be considered dystopian maybe. I don't really know. I've loved the series so far. First book is Cinderella retelling. Second book is Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf. Third is Rapunzel. And this one I want to say is Snow White. But I'm very excited for this one. This is the finale, and we're going to see all the characters together in this, because at the end of last book we met Winter, our main character, kind of from this book. Every book has its own romance, and so I'm excited to see the romance and what it's going to be in this one. So far, Cress has been my favorite book overall, my favorite romance of the series, which was book number 3. I think both Cress and Scarlet made it into my top 10 books of 2024. Cress definitely. They were both 5 stars, and the Cinder was either 4 or 4.5, I can't remember. So I have high hopes of this one, and I will be happy to cross off the series. Not totally, but like technically, because there's 2 short stories. These are the other 2 books. This is the villain's story, and then this is just a collection of short stories. I do plan on reading these probably either later this month or next month, just to completely finish the series. This one is also part of my 25 books to read in 2025 list. I did read the first chapter of this morning when I woke up, just to get a head start. I think I will probably be reading the entirety of it on my Kindle and just like annotating in the physical copy as I read on the Kindle, because this is a brick. It's 800 pages, it's heavy, and it's just going to be uncomfortable to hold. It does only say it's 600 pages on the Kindle version, which is strange because usually the Kindle version says it's more pages than the physical copy in my experience, so that's a little strange. I'm going to try to read at least 100 pages a day so that I can finish this week. Today's Monday, so we'll see how long it takes me to read. So far, I've read 11 pages. 90-ish more to go for today. I'll check in when I have anything to say. Long time no talk. I think the last time I spoke to you was probably a week ago. I have been reading Winter. I am almost halfway through it. I think I'm 42% through the way. I just finished reading chapter 40 this morning. I've had a couple things I want to say, but I figured I would just like wait until I was a big chunk of the way through, because I can't say too much because this is the final book of the series. Lots of things have happened before this and are like tying into the problem they're having right now. Can't spoil anything for you, so can't really tell you much about the plot. What I did want to say though is I am enjoying my time reading this. I don't think this is going to be my favorite book. I don't feel like this is going to be a 5-star just based off of the first half of the book. It is taking me way longer to read it than I wanted to or hoped it would, but I would rather read it at a pace where I'm understanding everything that's happening instead of trying to get that 100 pages a day I wanted to do and like skimming things and not understanding anything. But like I said, I am enjoying my time with this because I just love the characters. But I will say, in Cress, half of the book maybe, or even a little more, one of the main characters was kidnapped and like taken to the enemy, but we still got a few chapters here and there from their perspective, like what was going on. Going into the start of this book, that character was still kidnapped and away from our group. And we got one single chapter right at the beginning of what was happening in that situation. And then we didn't see that character again, hear from that character again, until I think 250 to 300 pages in. So at that point we got that character back, but in order to get that character back, we had to sacrifice another character, and we have no idea what's happening with them now. And it's been like that for like the last 100-ish pages, I think it is. That new character who has been kidnapped or like stowed away was like one of my favorite characters. Like my top 2 favorite characters and part of my favorite couple of the series. So I'm a little annoyed with that. And I don't even know if that couple is actually happening or if it's just like in the one character's head and in my head. And it also took a hot minute to get into the book because we start out with our new character Winter's point of view. And this is a fully new character. We've never been in her perspective before. So we were learning her backstory and kind of getting acclimated to her life and what was going on. It took a minute to get used to that new edition. But now all of our characters, except for that one, are back to working together. I don't think I'm going to be able to say much more going forward into the second half of this book because right now the action is picking up. Also, have been reading it on my Kindle. That's why you haven't seen like any footage of me reading through the book. I'll see you honestly probably when I finish the book unless something else happens that I have to update you about. So it's been quite a while since we spoke. Honestly, don't even remember the last thing I updated you about. I think I was halfway or almost halfway through Winter. I finished it 2 days ago. This is just the first chance I've had to come sit down here and talk to you about my thoughts. Remember how I said at the beginning of the video, I was like, hopefully the first 2 books will take me a week to read together, and then this one will take me a week to read just on its own. Guess how many days it took me to read this? 16 days to read this, which I think I mentioned before. Like, I would have rather taken my time reading it like I did rather than skimming through it and not understanding anything because there was a lot to digest in this book, especially at the end. I am going to give this book 4 stars. I think this is my least favorite out of the 4 in this series. That or it's like right with Cinder, because Cinder was also a 4, and then Scarlet and Cress were 5-star reads. Cress is still my favorite book of the whole series, I think, just because I love Cress and Thorn, and those are the characters that are like the main focus of that book, and I just love the atmosphere of that book. This one, it was 3.5 stars, like at the halfway point, and like maybe the 60-70% point, it bumped up to 3.75 from a very specific scene. Like one single scene alone for my favorite characters. One single scene alone bumped it up that 0.25. I was like, it's probably gonna stay here. And then the last like 150 pages, I did not want to stop reading last 150 or so pages. It was incredible. So I gave it 4 stars because of that. My main issue I think I have with this is I feel like it would have done better being split up into 2 books maybe, because basically the other 3 books we start with one character. So we had our main character Cinder in the first book, and then we had her love interest, and we learned about them individually, and that's kind of how we started the story. We learn about their lives and what's happening in their lives and kind of the basis of this whole world and where the series is going to take us. And then we get the second book, Scarlet, and then we have a new main character, Scarlet, and her love interest, and we learn about them individually and their lives, but we also have Cinder come in and be there, but you can tell that the main focus is on Scarlet in that book. Same thing with Cress. Cress is our new character and her love interest. It's mostly about them, but we have our previous characters from the other 2 books come in and help them and interact with them. But again, you can tell the main focus is on Cress. This one, I believe we are introduced to Winter at the very end of the previous book, and then this one starts straight into Winter's life and like what is happening with her. And then we learn about her love interest, and we learn more about the Queen because she is more tied into this book and with Winter herself. And then our other characters come in, and that's kind of the first part. And that's like the first, I feel like that could have been its own separate book, like the other ones. And then another book could have been the final book, which would be the second half of this book, where all of the characters are together and everyone kind of gets equal time. Because that's what, like, it felt like a disconnect to me for some reason. Like, there's just so much to take in. Would have appreciated if we had one book where we learn a lot about Winter and we're focused on her mainly while we still get the other characters, what's happening with them. And then we get another final book where there's no new characters introduced at the beginning and it's just the main characters we already know about from the previous books, and we're not thrown into something new at the beginning. It was just a lot to take in, and I think I would have appreciated if there's 2 different books. But I mean, I could have stopped reading halfway, took a break, and then come back. But there wasn't a good stopping point, which is what I would have appreciated. Like, I appreciate there would be a stopping point that I could take a break, let everything soak in, and then continue on to the final battle, I guess. That's just my personal thoughts, and I hope that makes sense to someone else. What I'm trying to explain. Anyways, other than that, I really did enjoy this because I love all these characters. I love the setting of the series and the concept of it. Like I said, my favorite book is still Cress, and then Cress and Thorn are my favorite characters still as well. But that means I have checked off technically another series from my series list. I do have the 2 other short story books, but this is like, there was an ending to this book. There is that. So that brings us to the end of this video. In this video, we read Reckless by Lauren Roberts, the 2nd book in the Powerless trilogy. What did I give this? A 3 or 3.5 stars? I don't remember. This was a month ago. That's how long I've been reading for this video. Garnet Flats by Devaney Perry. Give this 1 star. I don't even want to talk about this again, or I'm gonna get mad. And then we ended off on a pretty good note with Winter at 4 stars. If you enjoy this and want to see me read more books from series I'm in the middle of, let me know, and let me know what series you want me to continue. I could do more of the Edens, the Hunger Games series, but I think that's going to be its own separate video. Zodiac Academy, Stalking Jack the Ripper series. Let me know if you'd like to see this type of video again. I do have another one already on my channel where I read 3 other books. I actually read Scarlet from the Lunar Chronicles in that video. I think I read Final Gambit and Addicted After All as well in that video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again soon.